Hey, welcome to the Stinkin Truth podcast. We are back and better than ever. We've been gone a little bit. I went on vacation, went on a Disney cruise with my grandkids. And Mike, let me just start right here. Mike Evans, Mark Schlereth, thank you so much for making us a part of your day. But let me start right here. I am not good on vacation. You know this about me. I am horrible on vacation. I have an incredibly tough time relaxing.
Yeah.
I've always I itch to do stuff, right? I'm antsy, all that. I absolutely loved being on the cruise. I loved it. We had a great time. Unbelievable food. Every night there's a new show on the Disney cruise, in the pools, on the water slides with my grandkids. I had an absolute blast. A buffet, breakfast, lunch, like whatever you want. Every night's a sit-down meal with our servers. Richie took care of us. He was awesome. I mean, I had a blast on the Disney cruise. Highly, highly recommended.
Well, I told you, because I had been on one of those once before with my kids. I told you were going to have a blast, and you did. But you gotta share the incredible story of what happened on your cruise.
I was on the cruise where the 5-year-old girl fell over the edge off the fourth deck. Off the edge. So I'm standing in line to take my middle grandchild, my granddaughter Drew, on a water slide where, you get in on a little, like an inner tube, the two of you, and you go through all the tubes. It goes through the whole ship. It's fun. It's a great time. And all of a sudden they get on, you hear the kind of alarms go off, and it's they said Mr. Mob port side, Mr. Mob port, whoop, whoop, so that kid falls over the railing off the fourth floor, and the dad goes in to save the kid. Now, my first thought as a parent and as a grandparent, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, how does your 5-year-old climb up? It's good. Like, everything is plexiglass. It's 4 feet up or 4.5 feet up, right? Like, how come you took your eye off your kid, that your kid scrambled up the top of that thing and fell over the boat is ridiculous. Like, the first thing, like you had asked me on a radio show, would I have, if the parents still weren't paying attention, because I assume they weren't paying attention. I don't know that to be factual, but that's my first thought is, would I have jumped in? And I'd like to think, of course I would have jumped in to save the child, but I'd have dog cussed the dad as I was jumping over the edge, like, you son of a, why are you washing your kid, you son of a, but it's amazing because I looked at the stats on this thing, Mike. I think it's like 20, I could be off a couple percentage points, but it's only like 22% recovery rate. If you fall off a cruise ship, like 22% time they find you, the other 78% of the time you're dead.
Yeah. And
for a 5-year-old to fall off 4 stories, man, you hit that water, it's kind of like hitting concrete. To be able to survive that, good for the dad jumping in. Obviously tragic. And I honestly don't know exactly what went on. I know they're investigating it, but just really glad for that family. But boy, you talk about scary.
Because you brought it up, and I saw the footage of it, and I when I saw it was a Disney cruise, I thought I sent you a text, like half joke. I was joking because everybody ended up okay, but I'm like, hey, Stink, was this you? Jumping into the water to save the girl, and you're like, that was on my cruise, but you brought up a good point. Those ships, they're mammoth, but they're still going like 22, 23.
I think the average cruising speed is like 26, and top speed's close to 30, 28 miles an hour or something.
So you think about it, can you imagine those ships, when you're up close to them, they're massive. Can you imagine for that moment once the dad had got his daughter, and then looking up at this ship that is just moving away, this massive ship, and you're now alone in the ocean? I can't imagine that feeling.
Yeah,
but thankfully it all worked out.
Yeah, you see the video. It's like, the video. The guy is there, and then he's gone. It's like because the ship is just moving. And they said they had to tread water for close to 20 minutes before the rescue crews got there.
Wow.
So, yeah, scary stuff. Well, great that they're all right. And it's so funny because the local news stations, Like when our ship docked and we all got off there, all like, "Well, what did you see?" Like, there's 4,000 people on this cruise. There's probably 3 people that saw it happen. Like, and they're just randomly interviewing people. I was there. I was at the water slide. It was unbelievable. Like, what am I going to tell you? I have no idea what happened.
Well, great story. It's a great story because there was a happy ending. So
Yes.
glad you were able to share that. Let's get into some of the stuff that is going on right now as we get closer and closer, just a couple of weeks away from the start of training camp. The Netflix show Quarterback, back for season 2, following Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, we'll get to him in a second, and Joe Burrow. Now, this week on your TV show, you did your top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, and you had Joe Burrow number 1. Yeah. Why?
Well, I just think that like every quarterback has a lot to do with the line of scrimmage. Like that's part of the requirement of playing that position, right? You've got to get everybody lined up correctly. You got to set motions, shifts. You've got to do all those things. You've got to be a master in protection to know what your offensive line's responsibilities are. If you want to change those responsibilities, you've got to recognize coverage, recognize potential blitzers, all these different things that you're required to do. And you do it at the line of scrimmage. And I don't think there's anybody in football that has more responsibility at the line of scrimmage than Joe Burrow. They're in shotgun 90+% of the time. I mean, he's orchestrating that offense. And I don't think in that offense, having talked to him and having talked to Zach Taylor, I don't think there's a lot of tank plays like, hey, these are call it and run it plays that are good against anything. I think a lot of that is on him. Okay, that being said, I think that he does a tremendous job of being exceptionally accurate and on time with the football and basically doing those things. I think that he communicates defensive leverage with ball placement. So his ball placement is such that he knows and he can see where the defenders are. The receivers can't see that, and he'll throw it to a spot where the receiver has to go pluck it out of the air, moving in that direction to basically communicate where that defensive leverage is coming to tackle him so that you get yards after the catch. So that ball placement is what creates yards after catch. If you put it in the right spot, you can take an 8-yard gain and turn it into a 14-yard gain. Those things are, they're incredibly important and things that nobody talks about. And so I think with his accuracy, his leadership qualities, and the things that he is asked to do on a consistent basis, I think Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in football right now, all things considered. And I give a ton of credit, obviously, to Mahomes for going to 5 Super Bowls, winning 3 of them. Being a guy at the end of a game that you just want to be the guy in control at the end of the game. But just overall, like one thing that Mahomes has had over the last couple of years that, let's face it, like he's got Andy Reid is one of the best play callers and play designers in football. And he's got, oh, by the way, Steve Spagnuolo, one of the great defensive coordinators in football. And he's got a great defense. Like Burrow doesn't have that. Burrow's got to hang 42 on everybody, and he still may get his ass beat.
More on Burrow that was revealed in this series debut was the sideline explosion at the end of a win. They're in the process of beating Tennessee in Week 15, I think 37-28 to go to 6-8 on the season, and it was a sloppy performance. And he's reading the riot act. He is dropping F-bombs. He is so upset with the way that they played in this win. Zach Taylor comes over, the coach, to try to kind of bring him down a little bit, and he didn't want to hear it, right? Yeah. And I'll be honest, it's a side of Burrow that I don't think a lot of us have seen and heard. I loved it, but I'm a fan. I'm kind of curious. You as a former player, is it important that your quarterback lead and act like that and have that kind of reaction even at the end of a win?
Yeah, I think obviously you have to be who you are, but this guy is like, yeah, it's important, and it's important to him. And he's telling Zach Taylor, man, this is bullshit. Like, we had 8 offsides penalties or whatever it was. Like, this is absolutely unacceptable. Played like crap today. It's the Tennessee Titans. They suck, right? And they took us to the limit. And it's unacceptable. And if you're not going to hold the team accountable, I'll hold the team accountable. Like, I'll make a statement right now. This is just off the cuff, Mike. You know how I operate, but I'll make a statement right now. Is there anybody that's on a hot seat more than Zach Taylor? You start off like you've always started off. Like the Bengals start off 0-2 every year. Every year they start off 0-2, 0-3. They start off slowly. You start off slowly. Like, are you on the hot seat?
Yeah.
Because you can't, we talk about windows in the National Football League, Mike. And you've got one of the best quarterbacks, what I think is the best quarterback in the NFL right now in Joe Burrow. Like, you can't waste that. You signed Jamar Chase to a big deal. You signed T. Higgins to a big deal. You've got a running back in the backfield that is a credible NFL kind of powerhouse runner, right? You've got those things. You still haven't signed your all-star, superstar defensive end in Trey Hendrickson. But I think Zach Taylor, man, like, come on now. Yeah, I understand that you went to a Super Bowl, but at what point does not taking advantage of having Joe Burrow, what point does that hurt you? What point does that come back to bite you in the ass? And so I love Joe Burrow holding the team accountable. But honestly, if I'm the GM or I'm the owner of the Bengals, I'm saying to myself, why is my quarterback dog cussing my coach to hold guys accountable? Why is my coach and Zach Taylor?
Well, I didn't hear Burrow yelling at Taylor. I think he was just venting to Taylor.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, and Zach Taylor, and you back me up on this, Zach Taylor was like, hey, we'll get it corrected. It's okay. Right. Let's enjoy the win. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Like, why are you not this? I almost looked at it like the quarterback going, okay, why are you not holding your coaches accountable? Why are we, if you're jumping off eight times in a game, that to me is coaches not putting enough of an impression on their players. You're either coaching that shit or you're allowing that shit to happen. And the fact that it's happening when it's nut cutting time and you're fighting for a playoff spot, unacceptable. That's an unacceptable coaching aspect. If we're jumping off 10 times or 8 times or whatever it was, and we got all kinds of penalties, man, that's coaches not holding players accountable. That's on a coaching staff. And that's one of the things I heard from Joe Burrow, like his frustration. We're not playing well enough, and it's you that's not holding people accountable because I'm doing my job.
More from those quarterbacks in this quarterback series on Netflix. Kirk Cousins revealed this little juicy nugget, said that he felt, quote, misled when the Falcons went out and drafted Michael Penix early on in the top 10. This despite Cousins having just signed a $100 million contract with Atlanta. I mean, does he make a point? I mean, do you agree with the use of the word misled in describing his reaction to what they did with Penix?
I understand. There's a couple things about this that intrigue me. Okay. First off, the misled thing. Like, I think it's more, I think with Atlanta, it's more like, what are you guys doing? Like, to me, it felt like we didn't have that plan coming into the draft, and all of a sudden, Michael Penix was available, and our intel told us he wouldn't be. And so all of a sudden, we were like, wait a minute, like, Kirk Cousins isn't a long-term answer for us. Maybe it's this kid. Now, of course, Kirk Cousins coming off the Achilles reconstruction, and Michael Penix, like, to be fair, he was healthy at Washington, but that guy was injured all the time. Like, that didn't necessarily make a lot of sense to me, but I don't know about being misled. Certainly if their plan coming into it was, hey, listen, Kirk, and with full disclosure, we're going to draft a quarterback in the first round. Then obviously Kirk Cousins would have said, well, maybe I turn to the Raiders, or maybe I turn to whoever it is, Mike, right? I turn to another team. I don't go to Atlanta. So I understand that frustration. That being said, I always had this philosophy. I wanted everybody on my team or my offensive line and the young guys, I wanted them to be as versed as they could be and become as good as they could be. But part of that, Mike, was you're never going to be better than me. Part of it was just like I'll give you everything I know, but you're still not going to do it as well as I can do it. And so like if you're Kirk Cousins, drop a set of nuts. If you let that bother you, then you're not the right guy anyhow. If you let Michael Penix is behind me, the shadow, ooh, right? Like that.
But this is a sport. This is a league where we anoint quarterbacks,
Right?
Don't we? I mean, we anoint these guys, whether when we draft them or when we sign them, they're anointed. They don't necessarily fit into that same, hey, you got to fight for your job. You got to earn your job just like everybody else. Quarterbacks are always kind of treated a little bit differently. And when you sign a $100 million contract, I can understand why you feel like you've been anointed. And so then you go draft a guy like Penix. I can see where that misled comment comes from.
100%. 100%. So like for him, like if he knew they were planning on drafting a quarterback in the top, where'd Penix get drafted? 8?
8, yeah.
If he knew that, then he probably would have made a different decision. So I completely agree with that. But at the same, man, you're Kirk Cousins. Like you've been doing this for a long time. You got to go out and you got to perform. And you got $50 million up front and $100 million in total guarantees out of the $180 million contract, right? Drop a set and go beat the kid up. Like that's part of it. I think the other thing is, and Kirk had talked about like the system not necessarily matching up and some of the things. Like I think that is even a bigger issue. Like you tell me if you didn't think the system matched up, you didn't like the language of the system or whatever. Like that's something you should address and say, hey man, these are the things that I'm really good at. These are the things I really like. I would like to do this. By not addressing that, it tells me, hey, you know what I really like more than being in a system that I'm really comfortable with is $180 million. That's what I like more. So you played the game. You're going to get paid. I guess I don't feel sorry for the guy. I mean, I love Kirk. He's a great dude. I love him. Well, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad.
That was going to be my question. Whether it's in Atlanta or somewhere else, do you think Kirk Cousins can still play?
Yeah, I think he showed flashes last year, and
Mark froze a little bit right there. He will unfreeze here in a second. Look at that look, though. Okay. Look at him. There he goes. All right. Keep going. All right. Keep going. We got you.
I thought that the new information, the system not quite being what he was, maybe the language of the system a little bit different. Coming off the Achilles, he had moments where he was brilliant. And then he just had moments where he wasn't very good. So do I think Kirk Cousins is a viable starting quarterback in the National Football League? Certainly I do. Certainly. And do I think at some point before training camp or before the regular season that he'll get traded and moved? I do. I do think that will happen.
Got a team in mind? You got a team in mind? Destination?
No, I really don't. I haven't really thought about it. I thought that if the things with Aaron Rodgers didn't work out, he would end up in Pittsburgh. I thought that was viable. I really don't have a destination in mind. I haven't really thought about that, but you have a quarterback that gets injured or you have a young guy that struggles.
Right.
Then I could see them, making a phone call. Maybe it's week 4, week 5 in the season. Yep. Maybe it's one of those situations, but I still think that Kirk Cousins is a viable option and can still play at a high level. And I think last year was a combination of new system and not feeling 100%.
We heard from Patrick Mahomes this week, and he said that one of the keys for the Chiefs coming up this season is they need to have more fun. He said that last year, the weight, the pressure of trying to win 3 in a row and become the first team ever to win 3 in a row really took its toll. And he felt that maybe along the way, the team lost sight of having fun. And that if they get back to doing that this year, they should pick right up where they left off.
Is Cyndi Lauper still alive? Do you know?
She is. Yes.
She is still alive. She's not dead.
Girls just want to have fun. Yeah.
Chiefs just want to have fun. We should do a song. Like,
no, we shouldn't.
No, not us. I mean, Cindy should do a song for the Chiefs. Yeah, that's it. Or maybe Taylor Swift could do remake of The Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Chiefs Just Want to Have Fun. Yeah. Listen, as goofy as that sounds, it's
that didn't sound goofy.
As goofy as Patrick Mahomes sound. Not me. Okay. I was spot on.
Not pitchy at all.
No, as goofy as he sounds, like we just got to get back to having fun. Like the stress of trying to do something nobody has ever done. Now, understand when they won back-to-back Super Bowls, he came out on the podium and goes, "We're going to run it back. We want to go for 3. We want to do something that nobody's ever done," right? Like, I know the difference between being the hunter and the hunted.
Yep.
And being the hunted is hard. Every week you get somebody's best shot. Every week you're somebody's Super Bowl. Every week, there is something to that stress, right? And ultimately, you put a lot of stress on yourself. Playing in the NFL, coaching in the NFL, it's arduous both physically and mentally. It wears you down. 2 Super Bowl seasons back to back, less time in the off season. And let's face it, Travis Kelce is kind of on his revenge tour this year. He was out with Taylor Swift on tour, on the Eras tour, or whatever he was doing. He talked about, man, like, I feel like I let my teammates down, and I'll give him a lot of kudos for coming out and just owning up and dropping a set of nuts and saying, I didn't have my best year. I didn't have my best stuff. His Super Bowl was it was poor. He had a poor, he dropped a couple balls. He missed some blocking assignments. He did not play the kind of Travis Kelce Super Bowl that we're accustomed to. And ultimately, like, I get that. And there is, like, I used to say this occasionally to Mike Shanahan, because Mike has looked at you a couple times and you pissed your pants when he did, like in a press conference. Like, he just looked, you ask a question, he just gives you that evil eye. But I used to, every now and again, I would say to Mike, hey, remember, it's got to be fun. It's still got to be fun. Because Mike can get into that mode where he is just, taskmaster. He is just locked in, focused, and he can grind on his players and his coaches. And every now and again, he just needed that little reminder, man, we got to have a little fun. And I think Andy Reid does a great job with that. That's why you see the trick plays, that you see the things down on the goal line, the shuffle passes and the ring around the rosy stuff and all those things. And I think there's kind of a method to the madness when it comes to Andy Reid. But I tend to agree. I tend to agree with him in that in Mahomes, in that it does have to be fun. You do have to relax a little bit. They were 15-2 last year. Why? They were grinding it out. And I don't know that they'll be better than 15-2. I think the rest of the NFC or the AFC West will catch up to them a little bit. Odds are they probably still win that division. But the bottom line, I think it's gotten a lot closer. I think the Raiders are going to be a much better team under Pete Carroll. I think the Chargers continue to do what they do with Justin Herbert. The Broncos were a playoff team last year. I think they're going to be better this year. I think they'll get better in the running game. So, like, all those things, I think, are pressing the Chiefs.
Well, we'll see what happens with them. We are just a couple of weeks away from the start of training camp, and so never any shortage of things to talk about right up until they start anew. So good stuff for us. Hopefully everybody out there enjoys it.
Absolutely. Hey, Mike, appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. For everybody involved in the Stinkin Truth podcast, make sure you download it. Make sure you listen. Make sure you subscribe. Give us the like or whatever it is you guys do out there, because I don't really know how it works. For Mike, I am Mark. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. We'll talk to you guys here later on in the week.